It's time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola, presented by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a Wednesday episode of The Oil Stream with Nielsen and Gazzola, brought to you by our friends at Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. Try the Popeye's chicken sandwich or the new chicken nugs today. DoorDash, Skip the Dishes, Uber Eats, 12 locations, 7 of them in Edmonton, and a couple more on the way. Tommy, what's up, buddy? Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday to you, Dusty Nielsen. How did things go with young Elizabeth today?
She had a good day of school.
Yeah.
She was great. We took her out for lunch to celebrate after. That was good. And when we dropped her off, there was a bunch of tears from mommy and daddy because for the first time in 4.5 years, we had 2 hours to ourselves. So we went and bought some mouse traps, went and bought a microwave and a new stove. So both kids being in school is going to cost me a bloody fortune now, buddy. It's going to... I'm just... But it was a good day.
Okay.
She's pretty excited.
I thought I was going to be asking something you were very excited about, and you tell me these good things. Evidently, it has opened some kind of fresh wound, and it's hit your pocketbook. And instead of you and Tammy enjoying a couple of hours alone together, you wound up shopping without child. And frustrated, evidently. So here we are.
Yeah, but
my goodness,
still working. So that's good. We're good to go. Also, went to Trail Appliance. Just popped in. And the guy who helped us there was the nicest guy of all time. I think his name was Steve. And I ended up buying a deep freeze just because he was so nice. I was like, and you know what? We're going to take one of those too because we don't have one. And he's like, write it up. Like he was just the nicest guy ever. I will never buy an appliance from, I'm not even talking about just going back to Trail Appliances. I won't go back and buy from somebody else. I only will buy my appliances from Bowtie Steve. He had this sick bow tie on, and he was the best. He was the best.
Wait. What if that's awesome? I wonder what you're going to put in this deep freeze you've now purchased. But I don't know. Do you think that maybe Steve, with his bow tie and friendly candor, goes to whatever pub down wherever Trail Appliances is? Is that 149th Street?
Does he what?
Is he okay? Listen, is it the Trail Appliances on 149th?
No. Trail Appliances on 99th Street.
Okay, so Steve says he has a great day, goes to the bar after work.
Yeah.
Bow tie comes off, and his friend goes, how many schmucks did you get today, Steve, with that shtick of yours? Or do you think he's genuinely, sincerely that nice and that good? 24/7, 365.
It was such an enjoyable experience, Tommy. I don't even care. I don't care if I was the schmuck. He literally, I don't know if anybody has bought 2 appliances quicker than I did when we walked in there. Like, we walked in, we walked along, with the overhanging microwave, and then the range underneath. And Tammy and I looked for like 2 seconds. This Steve guy popped in and goes, these 2 right here, they're a pretty good deal. And I was like, sold! Let's take them! I didn't even look around. So I don't know, but it was nice. They're going to deliver them. It's going to be an easy setup. They'll take away the old ones. And but yeah, I'm not very good at buying appliances. I'll tell you that. So for all I know, I got the 2 worst appliances in the entire place, but this guy was so nice. What can you say? All right. Okay, we've got lots to get to. I'm sorry to spend the first 4 minutes of the episode on this appliance guy, but he was one of the nicest customer service people I've ever dealt with in my entire life. He was great. Okay, we actually have some Oilers news to talk about as things start to heat up. Good idea that we went 3 episodes this week. Tommy, let's start with Holloway. It looked like a second procedure. This one done right here in Edmonton on his wrist. What was it? Done by a hand specialist in town here. Minimum 3 months. Probably not crazy to think we don't see him in game action in the American League till mid-December, I would think. Probably that's safe. That's a safe sort of estimate, is it? That's almost 4 months out.
Yes, so they're not rushing it. That's what Ken Holland really emphasized today in the press conference. Great to be in an actual press conference where it wasn't a Zoom call. My goodness, did that feel good today. And so this injury, if people didn't catch it, it was kind of around the thumb, happened in late February, I believe, late in the Wisconsin season. And he had a procedure done, and then it wasn't healing. The bone wasn't healing quick enough. They tried a few things. It wasn't healing. It finally got to the point where they said, we're going to do another procedure, another surgery, and we're going to give it the full amount of time it needs to heal. So they're pegging it at 3 months. This might be a double-edged sword, Dusty. There might be a little bit of a silver light to this, or a silver lining, and that's it takes the focus off of Holloway potentially getting a shot on this team, and people kind of putting that pressure or expectation on him so early in his career. So now people have the understanding he's healing up. Let him get better. Let him go to the AHL. Let him develop, grow, mature, all those things, and play. And that added pressure of being a first rounder from a year ago with all this hype coming in, that kind of dissipates naturally. There's an understanding among everybody, and he can kind of just climb the ladder at his own pace, which might be the positive in all of this. The negative, obviously, is the injury. How does it heal? Will he be the same type of player? We know he can't shoot. We know that a lot of discomfort. He would opt out of scrimmages when he was skating in the summer. So clearly a big-time issue, one of concern for a guy known to be a sniper. Couldn't take face-offs. That's another area of concern. So hopefully now they get it set and fixed and it heals properly, and then he could start to work his way in at the pro ranks in Bakersfield, and we see where he goes from there. But good that they get it done, and they feel they've done it right, and let's see what happens after the healing process takes place.
Yeah, not perfect. I mean, not ideal in any situation here for him or the organization, but, get through this, get healthy, get a half season with Woodcroft in the American Hockey League, and come in and win a job here next year. Like, at this point, and I really wasn't projecting him to play any games for the Oilers unless it was due to an injury somewhere anyway this year. So I don't think it's the end of the world that we might not see this guy in the Oilers lineup at any point this season. I think it's most important to get healthy, become a pro, and then be ready. So I don't think they're missing out on much. I mean, if this was going to happen, the overall time of his career, you might as well get it taken care of right now. But not ideal. But hopefully they can get it back on track so he can become the player that he expects to be and the organization expects him to be. Anything else from Kenny Holland before we get to a couple of these other things?
No, I think part of the reason why he did agree to come out when there was the request made was the fact that it would just be a Holloway update. And
yeah.
We kind of kept it there. He talked a little bit about Samorukov. Samorukov cleared for contact and is expected, to play in games, especially coming up here. I think the first one goes on Saturday, where we have the Flames and Oilers rookies down at Rogers Place. And then on Monday, they go down to the Saddle Dome to take on the Flames rookies yet again. So that'll be good. Samorukov cleared for contact. That's the other update that Holland gave. Nothing on the next guy that we're going to talk about, though.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think it was probably about 2.5, 3 weeks ago that on the oil stream here, you said you heard it was at a stalemate, which is where it had been for a while. It had been very quiet since then. Last night, we kind of went back and forth on it, and essentially Ken Holland last night met face-to-face in town here with Yamamoto's agent, JP Barry. By all accounts, a positive discussion, but obviously, nothing agreed to just yet, and nothing really to confirm here. But Tom, the fact that you're a week away from camp, the agent's meeting face-to-face with Ken Holland. I mean, in a perfect world, there would have been a press release this morning that the deal was done last night and Yamamoto's going to be back. But, I think of all the news we could get in the Yamamoto situation right now, this is something that we would deem heading in the right direction.
Absolutely. A great scoop by you. Nicely done. Happy to help you out with that, as always, as we're a team.
The Oil Stream team.
The Oil Stream team. Yes, that 1260 connection.
Yeah.
Brothers in arms, my friend. Yes, so that is a good sign that JP Barry and Kenny Holland are meeting here in town. And like you said, although progress was indeed made, nothing is done yet. But with a week or so to go before the start of training camp, this is a very good, reassuring sign. Let's hope that they bridge the rest of the gap and get it done quickly. I'll add this. I know that Dave Tippett wants, or I was told that Dave Tippett wants Yamamoto in town on time at camp, and deal or no deal in Dave Tippett's perfect scenario, it would be with Yamamoto on the ice with the group, not missing a single beat. Hopefully, it all comes to fruition and Dave Tippett gets his wish with a contract in tow for young Kyler Yamamoto.
Man, if you hear your coach saying that, you got to get a deal done. You got to get it. I mean, both sides. And I know most coaches would want to be in that situation, but if you're Ken Holland, you want to deliver this player. But if you're Kyler Yamamoto, the last thing you want to do is see these captain skates right now and see Leon Draisaitl playing with Hyman or whoever on his right side. Like, that's your spot. Get something done. So apparently positive discussion last night. We'll see if that leads to a contract here in the next 6 or 7 days with training camp a week away. Also with training camp just a week away, Duncan Keith on the ice in Oilers silks. Tommy, how dare he not be coaching his kid anymore and be here? What type of leader is he?
My goodness.
Good to see. Good to see, right?
Yeah, kind of, I guess, a sigh of relief. So I was in the room with the rookies, and then I went home, but Oilers TV's Tony Brar tweeted it out. That's the one I saw, and that's a good sign. I mean, some people have been making a bigger deal than this probably should be of this publicly on social media. And for those that were very concerned about this or looked at it a certain way, saying that that's a clear sign of a lack of leadership from one Duncan Keith, I think all those arguments can be put to rest now. He's here skating with the group, and hopefully no more issues going forward.
It's weird though, isn't it? Seeing him he's a Blackhawk. He's always been a Blackhawk. Seeing him in that Oilers stuff, and eventually it will look right, but I think it's going to take a little while to get used to something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if it's as bad as Marty Brodeur in a St. Louis Blues jersey or Mike Modano in a Detroit Red Wings jersey, but it's going to take some getting used to, indeed. A legend, Hall of Famer, and now he's an Oiler. It's not Adam Oates in an Oilers jersey either. This is a guy who can still really give you something. I don't think he's going to be offering back the money he made this year, a la Adam Oates, the way he did at the end of that one season.
All right, this is just moving right now. We just got the email on it. Colton Sevier has signed a PTO with the Oilers. So let's dive into this right now. 32 years old, spent last year with the Pittsburgh Penguins, 46 games. He had 10 points. He's played 500 games in the National Hockey League. Tommy, I'm not too sure how much you know about this player, but we had to expect a PTO or two. If this is one, do you expect to see others? And your thoughts on this guy?
Interesting veteran guy that's obviously going to try to push or try to make a case for himself to prove to people he's still a National Hockey Leaguer. Good to have competition in camp. We'll see where this goes. I don't know a ton about Colton Sevier, to be honest with you. Just from watching some games, I don't have a great
we don't have a great scouting report on him right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the other one is just let's find out what happens with Tyler Ennis here. He's still skating with the group. He's wearing his Oilers stuff. He's got his number and all that. And that's kind of curious in a way where you're thinking, well, unless I see him get something from a different team, I'm guessing he's at camp with Edmonton next week, but that clearly hasn't come to fruition. So we'll see a few more of these around the league. I don't know how many the Oilers are going to dish out. They are at only, 42 contracts?
Yeah, they've got some wiggle room there for sure.
Yeah, so maybe there's some two-way deals to be had. We'll see.
Veteran guy, also a JP Barry client, I believe. So maybe the meeting last night started with a little Yamamoto, ended with a Colton Sevier, and it's one guy doing another guy a solid to eventually maybe get a little favor from other said guy prior to the season. So we'll see how this one plays out. 32 years old, though. I mean, played 4 years in Florida before going to Pittsburgh and hovers around a 15, 25 point pace. competition in camp. Come in, push some of these other guys to Tyler Benson. Push to Tyler Benson, another guy you got to be better than to make this team. And I don't think that's the end of the world. So the more warm bodies around, the better. And we'll see. We'll see if he actually factors in on this club at some point. All right, Tommy, let's get into your rankings of importance for the Edmonton Oilers, and we've banged out the first 10. Quickly recap that for everybody. And if you're watching on the live stream, subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. We'll have another episode on Friday. We're working our way from 25 up to 1 as far as the most important Oilers from 25 to 1. Samorukov, Broberg, Perlini, Benson, Koskinen, Stalock, Shore, Cuckoo, Russell, McLeod. That brings us to 15 to 11, which is where we're going to go today. We've got 4 forwards on this list and 1 defenseman. Let's start at 15 because I do think there's a good conversation here to be had about how much this guy can help, considering he's in an important role but not a major role on this team, and that is Derek Reiner, former, if you weren't aware of this, former University of Alberta Golden Bear, now here with the Edmonton Oilers. Tommy, he provides a couple of things that they didn't have last year and something that they probably really needed, and a right shot guy who can take faceoffs. That alone makes him important.
Yeah, it really does. And this is Bob Stauffer's newest favorite Oiler, clearly. And we respect the hell out of that. Bob scouted a few guys from the U of A and helped them prolong their careers. So here's another one. Derek Ryan's cut out a nice NHL career, whether it was with Carolina or Calgary. He's effective. He can put up points. He is a responsible player and generally doesn't hurt you defensively. So I have him in at 15. I expect him to be killing penalties. Expect him to be taking important face-offs, providing that right shot at center, the right handedness at center, which is great because the Oilers have a lot of left-handed centermen. And then on top of that, this is basically what Kyle Turris was supposed to be and failed to provide. And here they are giving Derek Ryan a 2-year deal, hoping that he can provide everything that Turris did not and that they don't have a letdown. So I have him in at 15, and, he serves a purpose. He's not really high up the pecking order, but he'll still have some value to this team, and looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table.
Don't you find it interesting, because I agree with you. Derek Ryan is what they wanted Kyle Turris to be. But in my opinion, Kyle Turris was never that guy. Kyle Turris was never a Derek Ryan type. I feel like they almost tried to put Kyle Turris into a role that he wasn't or had never been suited for in the past.
That's a fair point, but Kyle Turris had a lot to prove last year and did nothing at all. He was lackluster, I think, in every which way you could describe it. And I think he clearly knows that. He is say the right things, put in the work, stayed in town, all those things. And later on in your career, if you don't adapt, you're done. And Turris didn't adapt. He wasn't brought in to bring in a ton of points, but to bring in some points. And he really struggled to do that. Dusty, he wasn't prolific on faceoffs. He was ineffective in his own zone. You would see a lot of goals when they were scored on his line where Turris was the guy that would miss the check or get there late. And you'd see the stick slam or the head reach to the heavens and looking for the Almighty to help out in that moment of pain. And so, Turris didn't adapt, didn't perform. And now that opens the door for Derek Ryan, who let's see if he can take the ball and run with it. And I think I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to get as excited for Derek Ryan that I did for Kyle Turris. That one bit me in the butt last year.
And I will, because I did, like a mini Stoff, I did call the final year of Derek Ryan's U of A Golden Bears career. So I do have a connection there. Him and Chad Clausen in the day were absolute monsters together. Sean was asking on Twitter, where did Turris land in the rankings of importance? Off the chart, I assume. Yes, he was off the chart. And Oilers in 4 says Turris will roar back this year. So that's a bold take. Yeah, that's a bold take. All right, 14 on the list of the rankings of importance, according to Tommy Gazzola, the newcomer, Foegele. How does he factor into this group?
Foegele, I think this is a guy that's going to win over some Oiler fans.
I think so, too.
I like the way he plays. He scores gritty goals. He scores the ones in tight. He finds ways to squeak pucks through. He's a big body, has a little bit of skill. really clicked with Jordan Staal in Carolina. And that was, you watch his highlights over the last 2 years and you're like, wow, he gets set up by Jordan Staal a lot. But if you find a guy that can work well with him and they create a connection similar to what he had with Staal, he can get you 10 to 15 goals and 10 to 15 assists. That's a pretty darn good third liner, and he doesn't hurt you defensively. He plays big boy hockey. These are all things that this team lacked last year. And then all of a sudden you got those threats in your bottom six, and that looks like a well-rounded forward group. So I like the idea of Warren Foegele. I've liked what I've seen. Watched him a little bit the other day, scored a goal. Really nice one in tight. And so he's at 14. He could climb up this ladder a little bit, but let's give him a safe starting point, if you will.
One of, not to exaggerate here or blow things up, but one of the best third line forwards they've had in the 12 years I've been in this city, buddy. And I know that's not putting huge expectations on him because they basically haven't been able to build a legitimate bottom six in the National Hockey League in the 12 years I've been here. But I do think Foegele is one of the best that they've had in that spot. That brings us to 13. Evan Bouchard climbs onto this list, Tommy. And I know you are holding back your expectations for Bouchard a little bit and how he will be involved and how they'll have to bring him along. But I still think 13 is a pretty good spot for him on this list.
It keeps the pressure off, at least from my point of view. You have him in there. You recognize he's a defenseman. He's a big part of your future. But at the same time, do not thrust him when he's not ready. Don't thrust him into any positions he's not ready for, or any type of situations he isn't particularly ready for, or you don't have full confidence in him just yet. Little tidbits. Dangle the carrot in front of him. Give him some power play time in games where you're winning by a couple of goals late. Stuff like that. And build that trust. Let him find his groove. Let him find his rhythm. Let him make some mistakes. They're going to be inevitable as a true rookie defenseman. I know he's been around for a few years, but this is going to be his first real taste of the NHL full time. It's going to come with some tough nights. It's going to come with some highs and some lows. And so I put him in where I did because it's a way to kind of ease him in, if you will. Whether or not my rankings of importance match the teams or Dave Tippett's and Jim Playfair's, we shall see. But
that doesn't matter for us. They're your rankings of importance. Exactly. That's all that matters.
He's going to be a hell of a player for this team. Let him get to that point. Don't rush and thrust him into a spot he's not ready for just yet. So that's why I kind of put him there.
All right, the next two names I find very intriguing on this list. And if you're watching on the live stream, subscribe to the podcast. We're going to have a ton of content for you again this season. I guess technically season number 2 here for the Oil Stream as we get ready to cover this upcoming year. But the next two guys on the list, you've got Yamamoto at 12 and Josh Archibald at 11. That alone should be enough for Yamamoto to sign a deal and get the hell on the ice with the rest of his teammates. But Tommy, why do you have Archibald one spot higher on the list than Yamamoto?
Veteran guy on PK, and I think late in games you're giving Archibald, especially to protect leads, the benefit of the doubt. That's probably the real reason why. And on top of that, too, is Yamamoto still has to prove himself in the NHL. Great start when he got up here again in 1920. That was a unbelievable pace him and Nugent Hopkins and Draisaitl had. But then last year, you saw the numbers start to decline as the season went on. 1 goal in his last 25 games in the regular season. That's not good enough when you're playing with Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. So that kind of knocked him down a couple of pegs. And, you know, it's not a wake-up call or anything like that. But it's like, hey, to me, it's like he's not there yet. And that goes back to like this contract thing. If he's really holding out for money or a term like guys like Kyrou and Farabee, he's not there yet. And so just having Archibald ahead of him by 1 in the rankings of importance just is kind of reemphasizes that, at least in my mind and for me, just to say, like, listen, this guy will be important, can be important, has been important, but fell off a bit last year, needs to get back on track. That's why he needs this deal to get done and not miss any time. So he could quickly climb this and leapfrog Archibald if he gets off to a great start this season. But as the time goes right now, he's 1 behind him.
Yeah, it's close. It's tight. I think you make a good reasoning about it. Like Archibald can do a few different things. And last year when they were holding on to leads or trying to seal something away, JP would move off that McDavid line, and you'd see McDavid, Draisaitl, and Archibald have an opportunity there. So obviously he's got the confidence and trust of his coaching staff, which I think goes a long way for him. Not that Yamamoto's bad in his own end. Yamamoto, actually, his shot suppression numbers, according to what I've heard from Low Tide, actually are pretty good. So he does that well, but not as well as Archibald, or at least not relied upon as much as Archibald in certain situations. So, hey, neither of them are the most important right winger on the team. We're going to get to that a little bit later on. It's funny how much difference 18 months can make for a guy and for a team and a franchise overall. But that's going to do it for another episode of the Oil Stream. Tommy, we'll be back on Friday, I guess, buddy.
It just feels so good to be back full steam ahead. I'm glad we're doing 3 episodes this week. This is awesome. So looking forward to Friday, my friend, as always.
We will talk to you then. For Tom Gazzola, I'm Dustin Nielsen. Huge thank you to Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen, our presenting sponsor of the Oil Stream. Try that delicious, delicious Popeye's chicken sandwich and get some of their new chicken nuggets while you are there as well. Thank you for joining us. Tell your friends about the Oil Stream. Subscribe today if you haven't already. We'll be back with a new episode on Friday. We'll talk to you then.